203.
Yeah, let's get it rolling.
Okay.
And I know poor Ashley.
No,
Ashley doesn't
today.
feel good.
Not
She's
good.
sick.
I have that crud. It's going around. Watch yourself.
Yeah, and I just got back from a trip, so I might be.
Jason also said he probably won't be able to make it. He's dealing with some kind of emergency situation. So
It's
just us three.
Is this quorum?
let's spin the bunch
Yeah,
of
we're
numbers real quick.
3 out of 5.
Okay.
Amanda, are you vice chair?
No.
Oh.
I thought you were.
No.
Well,
Jason
I am
is. No, this
secretary
is
only.
secretary.
Well, I can run the meeting.
Did we have a
Jason.
vice chair?
Jason. is
Jason.
vice chair.
Oh, Jay, that's right. That's right.
So-
Well, that would be you.
We will call to order here. It's 2:04. This is a meeting of the Lodging Tax Advisory Board. Veronica, can you start that session for us, the web meeting?
It is.
It should have started.
I don't think it's started.
Oh. I thought that's just,
She came in here.
it's not taking up the whole screen. Oh, camera preview.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
All of us for the tax thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh! I didn't even check.
I
I
don't
was
know if
so
we're allowed to talk
absorbed
about
with
it
the
now or
national.
not.
Well, why wouldn't we?
Hello, I
It's
think we're on
passed.
now.
It's passed.
How
And
much did it pass by?
we are just getting
Quite a bit
started.
more than it
So,
last time.
Meeting's called to order. We got roll call. Veronica, will you rattle off everyone's name for us?
I would if I had them in front of me. but I don't.
All right. Well, Joe is present. Chris,
Is present.
Amanda,
Present.
Jason,
Absent.
and Ashley.
Absent.
All right. So, first up, can I get anyone for a motion to approve the agenda? Have you all seen it?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve it.
I make a motion, what's her face? Trinidad
Krista?
Oh,
Kristen, she was planning on attending today, but she couldn't, so Main Street Board is on the agenda. If we could postpone that
Okay.
until next time.
We will postpone that. Main
You know what
Street
they were
Board
asking?
update until next meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the exception of the Main Street Board item?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that sounds good. Next up, approval of the minutes from October 24th. Does anybody have any notes or any changes on those minutes?
Nope.
No.
Can I get a motion to approve them, please?
Make a motion to approve.
Approved. Or second, sorry.
Uh,
I was
all-
trying to remember if I was at that, because I think I was. Yeah, I was, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Awesome. So with that, we are on to our first official agenda item. That will be updates from Destination IQ. So Lindsay, you are up.
sure. All right. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yeah, you need a little bigger, but.
Okay. Let's,
All right, I don't have my distance glasses on anyways.
Chris, I'll just talk it all out so you won't miss a thing. So
You heard
we'll
that
look at
whisper.
some data first on your website traffic and what your social media is doing and your paid ads are doing. Overall, I'm really pleased with the work that my team is doing. Your paid ads are doing really well. Your social media engagement is going up. Your followers are going up. Overall, I'm going to jump into our report. When you look at the overall number of website traffic in October, now this is October compared to September. Once we have a year's worth of data, we'll start looking year to year. But as we continue to go deeper into the off season, I would expect a continued drop in traffic. We have a 9% drop in total users overall. I'm not concerned about that, and I'm going to tell you why in just a moment. the biggest drop in traffic is actually coming from your organic search traffic. So that's the traffic that we don't have too much control over. It's when your website shows up when someone searches a term, and your website might show up on page 1, 2, 3, sometimes page 5. Dependent on how relevant that term is to the copy or the content on the website. It's typical to see this drop in the off season. So really not concerned about this 32% drop. The reason the overall drop is only 9% is because your ads are performing so well, and they're making up that difference. Now, the other point I want to make, and I'm going to jump a little ahead here, is that we did just win the CTO grant to redo the website. And in the application, what I emphasized was the amount of information currently missing from the website. We put the asset inventory together, and we increased the number of assets that we want to include on the website by about 75%. Now, when the new website is complete, and we have copy and content describing all of those assets, your organic search traffic is going to go up because the website is going to naturally match more searches and become more relevant. So it's a little low right now. It's dropping. We're going into the off season, but we have the budget and plans in place to make an extraordinary change and make sure that all tourism assets are represented on the website, which just currently right now they're not. And that's why we decided that this would be a really powerful grant project. So, and the CTO thought so too, because we got the money.
Yeah, well done. Thank you guys for running with the grant application. It's great to see a win on our first grant.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And we'll talk about that project in just a bit. I just wanted to talk about Google organic search traffic, and that we already have plans in place to increase that. And having a new website with all that new content is going to really make a big difference there. But when we look at our paid ads, these are your Google ads from in October compared to September. So even though we're going into the off season, we're spending a little less, but your click-through rate is going up, your clicks are going up, your impression share is going up. So your ads manager is doing a really stupendous job here, even though we're out of the summer travel season. A lot of the budget and the traffic came from those general Trinidad keywords, Trinidad, Colorado, Trinidad tours, things to do in Trinidad. But what also continues to trend is Trinidad Lake State Park. Probably not a surprise to anyone. That's one of your largest attractions. And, kind of thinking about this website again is we'll go into the design with all this data behind us. If we know that Trinidad Lake State Park is such a draw and enough people are looking for it, we can really showcase it on the website and make it prominent and make sure we have enough copy that Google rates it highly as a search term or as a search result. So really happy with what's going on here in Google and your ads. Let me jump to this because I have an overview here. Okay. Your meta ads, those are your Facebook and your Instagram ads. So I think I mentioned last month that we switched our strategy to do the kind of single image ads and run more of those. They're a little less expensive to run than the Reels, and they've just continued to proven to perform really well. So your clicks, your website clicks from those ads are up 20% while your cost is down. So you're getting more bang for your buck as we're heading into the off season. The best performing ad was Skateland, just like last month. And what I really like about this is that one, Skateland's really unique. Not every town has like a vintage roller skating alley. Is that what they're called? I don't know that term.
Skate ring.
Yes, thank you. Bowling alley. It's a bowling alley and roller skating. But because we're heading into the off season, we need to showcase those assets that folks can do year round, and this is certainly one of them. So that makes me really happy that the Skateland ad is doing well. We are going to start switching up some ads to be more winter focused. We're pulling down the summer ones. The kayaking ad came down. at the end of this month, or middle of this month, forgive me, we're pulling some of the biking ads, and we're going to start really focusing on some winter activity. So just to stay seasonal as we wait for the spring to arrive again. So.
Can you throw in a couple suggestions out there in terms of just like activities like that? We do have the indoor stuff, like I think Skateland is a nice one to keep in the mix there, but in terms of the outdoor rec, ice fishing is very popular on the lake and upriver, like at Monument. Otherwise, we're kind of limited. I mean, like snowshoeing in the state parks would be a good one, potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about, so I met with Marty yesterday and we talked about these ads in detail and what our next plans are. So we are going to continue we're going to do a Trinidad Lake State Park ad because people continue to visit year round, and we will do the ice fishing and this, I think Marty mentioned cross-country skiing can be done when there's snow. So those are some items that we will feature. We also talked about showcasing the History Museum and all the buildings there, and that you can spend some time there in the winter. So really thinking about what your top assets would be when the weather's not awesome. So
Cool.
Yeah, ice fishing is a good one.
Have you met Veronica?
No, hi, I'm over here.
No.
I can't even see
I
myself. So.
get, when you call me to start, I get so anxious. I'm like, oh, let me just start. But I do want to say welcome, Veronica. It's nice to meet you.
Thanks,
I'm
nice
excited
to meet you
get
as well.
Yeah, she's probably the one you should start talking with instead of, because Marty's kind of left us.
But Marty's still, it's a little tricky because she is the director of tourism. So
Yeah.
she does need to implement it.
Veronica, you and I can connect offline, but
Yeah.
Marty and I thought it might be a good idea if you have time and you're willing to jump on our meetings, just so you can really get to know
Absolutely,
everything
and
that's
you
going
know,
on.
we're roommates
Get to know it.
essentially, so that's fine.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, Marty
Okay.
and I like really
That's,
share.
you're
yeah.
at the desk over there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. That needed to happen. It's lovely to meet you, Veronica.
And actually, I have a question. Is all of this going to be sent to us just so that way we can include it in the minutes?
Yeah. So
Yeah, so
Did you already
I
get
can
it?
follow up.
Okay.
If you don't have it, this is a link. This whole deck here.
Yeah,
So
I-
Veronica, every month I add slides to this deck, and it's everything that we've done, everything that we're planning, all of the data, and I just build onto it month to month, so you can go back historically and see what we've done. So it's also really nice if at the end of the year, I often get a request to put a whole year report together, and I have it all right here.
Perfect.
And likewise for anybody else that wants to see. Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's a good check-in every month. When I put this together, I make sure that we're on top of everything and everything is getting completed and being done well. So, and this is available to anybody who wants to see it.
Great.
So I know Joe has a link to it, but I can also send you a link directly.
Okay,
yeah,
great. Thank you. Somebody will.
If you have access to our shared notebook,
I don't.
find it in there.
Mhm.
We should get you access. Also on the minutes, I'm the secretary, so as long as I'm here, you don't even worry
Perfect.
about it. I got it handled. If I have to miss a meeting, like last go rounds, might tap you to fill in.
Okay, thank you.
FYI, that time that you.
All right.
I did, but you didn't ask for them, and Ashley said. you
So
should.
let's talk about
Right.
organic social media.
Okay.
So you're experiencing some really wonderful growth on your organic social media accounts, particularly on your Facebook account. You have an increase in followers on both Facebook and Instagram. Your impressions on Facebook have grown over 15%. Your post interactions have grown over 115%. I recognize that there are some negative comments on Facebook. That's the place that people like to be negative.
Yeah. Yes.
So when you look at all of our comments in their totality, a majority of them are very positive. People just really have nice things to say about Trinidad. The other point I would like to make, and we've talked about this in the past, is that we do have a policy right on the top of our Facebook page that if you use anything derogatory or anything that's not related to tourism, we do have the we do have the ability to take it off. So if somebody starts talking about drug use in Trinidad, or starts talking about kind of, I don't know, negative, I don't know, but we have the flexibility to take that down. So, and that's because we have the policy posted on top. I'm going to dive into the social media report. I think this one is it. I'm going to scroll through here a little bit. Here are your post interactions, like I said, plus 115% on Facebook. This is where we're really seeing most of your activity. Your Instagram account is doing fine. I kind of dove more deeply into it, and it's just holding steady. You're getting maybe about 30 interactions per post on average, which is not bad at all. I would like to see more on that, but it's on Facebook that we're seeing really kind of the greatest growth. So we have posts that had over 16,000 views, next one with over 11,000 views, 296 likes, 59 comments. Now, I do want to address the issue with one of these posts and the business owner. I think, Joe, you probably want me to touch on this a little bit, and how we're addressing it. So we have a social media manager, and she comes down, once a month on the weekend, and she shoots footage, and she goes and visits businesses. And she had what she thought was a positive interaction with the business owner, and the comments from the business owner after the fact were not pleasant. She didn't like how she was being represented. We've gone in and we've taken it down, and we're fixing it. You can't just change the copy on a video. You have to take it down and redo it. So please know that we're doing that. We also talked quite a bit internally about ways that we could remedy this in the future. It's important to us that businesses feel heard, that they are represented accurately, and that they are pleased with the way that they're represented. And I don't think there's a way to do that unless we get those business owners involved from the very beginning, to have them be part of the planning process. So one of the ideas that we came up with is developing a social media co-op. This is very similar to the social media co-op that the CTO produces and that we actually participated in. So essentially, for a very small amount, it could be $50, it could be $100, businesses can purchase coverage. And the reason I suggest having them put a little bit of money in is that it puts a little skin in the game, and it encourages a little bit more involvement. Currently, we do have a marketing support form or program set up. Not a lot of people use it. In fact, Jason asked for some marketing support, and I was like, we have the forum, fill out the form, and I don't think that he even knew about it. And I just think if we ask folks, say, hey, if you want your business covered, you can participate in this program, $50, $100, whatever the amount is. And then they get to tell us about their business. They get to tell us what they want featured in the business. They can tell us what day works best for us to come, so that they can be fully prepared. They may have a special outfit they may want to wear. They may want to make sure they have certain folks in the store. And this creates kind of more engagement between tourism and businesses. It shows us that we're really here to support them. We really want to listen to them. Like, we want to know what they want to be or how they want to be represented, but we need that feedback for us to do that. So that's a program we're kind of bouncing back and forth and talking about. I don't know if anybody has any super strong objections to that. Joe, I know you're a local business owner and pretty.
As much as
may have some more intimate thoughts on how that would play out.
I think that any potential cost could be an obvious hang up, but there are ways we can work around that, whether we're using our budget or something. This is a much broader thing to bring up, but we passed the lodging tax increase. I don't know if you guys have heard that yet. So we're going to have a significantly larger budget here in the next year. So if we can subsidize the business owners' participation, that's all well and good. I mean, it's good to have them with skin in the game as well, I think. But anything we can do to lower the barrier and just encourage them to participate in the co-op, I think would be the way to go. But offering that, I think is huge. The biggest thing we'll need to do is get out ahead to promote it, to make sure that people know about it and that they actually show up. Because otherwise it's going to be the same 5 people that we always see.
I think they do.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the struggle, is getting folks to know that this is available to them and getting them to participate. So that's one of the reasons I thought if we put a little cost associated with it, it becomes, there's perceived value, right? Like, oh, I have to buy into it. Oh, then it's probably better than what the free option is. And that's just more of like me being an armchair psychiatrist.
I agree. I think if you have even just a small cost, they're going to say, okay, you can come by on this day if it's free, right? And then they come by and they're not, oh, sorry, we didn't call you. We can do that another day. But if they've actually paid something for somebody to come, they're more likely to keep the appointment. And as much as I
think they'll take it more seriously. Their buy-in would be more serious. They fill out the form in earnest. They give us the information that we really need. So it's less about the money than it is about the commitment. And so we can by all means talk about this. This is just an idea that's simmering. Like, how do we get ahead? Jody put it the right way. Like, how do we get ahead of this?
I think the buy-in could work if it's like kind of a package deal where it's like you're going to get these ads out of it that are specific to your business or something, and then some. So it's not even just like, oh, I'm paying $50 to show up and participate and get involved with what the town's promoting, but also like, oh well, on the other end, like there's going to be direct promotion happening or something like that. So just a thought there. I'm also just brainstorming it.
Well, as a former business owner, I wouldn't mind paying if I knew up front what I was getting for it. And if it's going to help me take something off of my plate, I would be like, please sign me up, because then it's going to save me in the long run.
And I think in a way to broadcast this, the chamber has a lot more
I was going to say
broadcastability than we do.
We should get them involved in it. I mean, they're wanting to, to do something that's perfect.
And this is something that gives his members value. Right? If they get involved in the chamber, this is what they get.
What is the timeline on this idea?
No, we just discussed it yesterday, so it's
really new. Okay.
Baby. It's a baby. But we do have the tourism marketing form already created, and that's a lot of the information that we would need from somebody. So it's really figuring out a way, or deciding exactly what the offer is, putting together a document that outlines everything that someone gets, deciding if there's a financial buy-in, what that is, how that money is submitted. But I think it can be done pretty quickly. But I think before I do it, I want to make sure that we have a good strategy in place for reaching business owners. That's going to be the hardest part.
I also just want to say, be prepared. Like if this is it's like a live event, right? Be prepared for a little bit of a bitch fest to happen. There are going to be people who show up and they are just there ready to complain and give their feedback on what has already been happening as opposed to looking forward. So it's just something to be ready for and to be ready to steer the conversation in the direction of like, well, that's why we're here. Like we're working to build like the next phase of this thing, etc. So.
And what if you have a business approach because they see it as an opportunity for them to get a word, but it doesn't really fit in the tourism thing?
I mean, you just gotta be ready to shut it down if it's not
We have to reserve
pertinent.
the right to be able to shut it down. Like for instance, I mean, I hate to, like Tony's a great place, but it's not really like an appeal for tourists.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, like we are spotlighting.
We'd have to be able to screen them and maybe use the same kind of decision, maybe some kind of decision matrix that says this is why we don't think it should be part of the tourism thing versus we do.
Mm-hmm.
Know what I mean?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, more than anything, I just wanted the group to know that we're trying to come up with some ideas to improve communication and involvement with business owners from the get-go. And
Yeah.
I don't know that we'll ever get over the hump of having or resolve every issue.
Yeah.
But as long as we're moving forward, that's what I want to see.
And I totally understand that, like, a bunch of this comes with the territory. I tried to kind of communicate that in my note to you. So not playing the blame game on my end. I just wanted to relay what I was hearing on the ground, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not always going to be able to please everybody, but as long as we're doing our best to represent folks, you know, accurately and in the way that they want to be seen, I think you'll be doing a good job.
All right, I'm going to just jump ahead to some of the tasks that we're working on and some notes that I have from our side. Like I mentioned, we did win the 2024 CTO marketing grant, so we are in communication with the web team currently. They're reviewing the project to make sure that it's within scope and that they have the bandwidth to accomplish it. We've worked with this team before. We really like them. They have an incredible researcher and writer and a designer, and they're very timely. So this is on their plate now. They're reviewing it. We've also, in prep for this project, reorganized your whole media library so photos are easy to identify for when we have to go identify what our gaps are and what we do have for the website. So even though we can't technically start the project until January 1st, we are kind of getting the gears, rolling on the front end right now, so we can hit the ground running on the 1st. Your website's, it's going to be big. There's a lot of content, so it's not a small project. I outlined an 8-month timeline for this, just because of the amount of content that we need to add. Okay, your 2024 tourism budget, there were some items that we did not spend money on that were kind of bookmarked for use, and we ended up not using it for one reason or the other. Totaled about a little over $10,000. What Marty and I discussed was using that to shoot photos for the website to supplement those gaps. So this is kind of earmarked for next year. When we get the budget, the tourism budget for 2025, and we start kind of breaking it down and deciding what we want to do with it, and if there's a better place to spend this $10,000, we can certainly talk about it. But for now, we're thinking that would be a good allocation of these leftover 2024 funds. We updated this ACE presentation. You've all seen this. There were some requests from the board for updates. This is all changed. I think this was kind of the biggest request. No offense, Joe. Some people felt like you shouldn't be on it because you're on the lodging tax board. So we swapped it out for Julie and Mike.
That's totally acceptable.
Yeah. Like I said, we reorganized the media library. One small line item that actually took a ton of time. You had a lot of photos that are now, everything is in a folder based on topic. So you have a hiking folder and a tarantula cycles folder and a history museum folder. And so anytime anybody needs a photo for anything in town, they can just go. I think there must be like 50 different folders of subjects in town, and you just click that subject and the photos are all in there. Sounds like we're gonna get the 2025 marketing budget in a little bit. It's been developed, but it needs to be approved. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's out of our board and onto the city approval.
Okay. Okay.
That may
go ahead.
change also because
passing.
we doubled the lodging tax. So my assumption is that they will just go down the line and double everything that's in there. However, there'll still probably be some money we'll need to decide what to do with because, for example, right now under like the marketing and advertising portion, I think we pretty much 90+% of that just goes to the DIQ contract. So if that gets doubled, we're going to have a bunch of money to work with in terms of marketing and advertising. So that will be a broader discussion I think we'll need to have is like, where do we spend that? Do we do more of what we're already doing with you? Do we start doing some other traditional ad buys? Just something to kind of ponder. So there's going to be some extra money sitting around for sure.
Yeah. I will say that this year, or planning for 2025, and a lot of my clients, I'm putting a little bit more money back into traditional print ads and kind of doing research and staying on top of trends. The shift has been to digital media for so long now that digital ads have almost become, their effectiveness have become diluted in a sense. And they've lost some of their credibility, where print ads have retained that credibility. They're a little harder to track their effectiveness. Like, we could certainly use vanity URLs, QR codes. But yeah, I'm with you, Joe. I think, especially if you have a larger budget, I think striking a balance, like bringing that pendulum back to center, if you will, is a sound strategy. It's something I'm doing, like I said, with clients across the board. Really to hit all markets, showcase your brand, showcase photography. People think of look at a print ad and they take it a little bit more seriously than an ad that's passing through on social media or popping up on their website. So I agree with you there 100%. And we could even, if you wanted, we could hold a workshop to really kind of digest how, as a group, we want to use the budget. So a lot of the times it just gets handed to me, and I make the executive decision, and my client says, yeah, that's great. But if we want buy-in from the group, we are more than happy. We can hold a workshop, and we can ask all the right questions, get the feedback we want, and make it a collective decision. So
yeah, I think we had that in mind in terms of, last year, you kind of took our lump contract sum and you broke it down and made your recommendations. And I don't think we made a lot of changes, but I think that's a good kind of avenue where we'll take your best practices and your recommendations and run down the list, and then if anything jumps out where we're like, hey, what's up with this line item, or could we spend more or less here or there, we can kind of refine. But we should definitely plan to have a session around that for sure. Okay,
let's do that. And likewise, if there's something that you really want, it doesn't have to be something that you see and you don't like. If there's a publication you really want to be in, or a programmatic ad program that you want to participate in, by all means, let me know.
Great.
Okay. I think the request came from this group last time to have a page that showcases event venues. So we built this. And so once this is finalized, Marty's going to review it and make sure that the list is accurate and we didn't miss anybody. We can start promoting. We can do an ad for event venues. We can use this as essentially like a campaign landing page. So, but all the venues now are in one place. And I think that was a request from this group.
Yeah, that'd be good. I like the idea to do a landing page, and it might need a little more or different content if we're going to point directly to it. That's like geared towards like, I mean, this first blurb has that a little bit, but you know, host your event here because we have all these amenities along with it, you know. But that's, we don't need to go way down that rabbit hole right now. Thank you for creating it.
You guys can see my notes. Okay. We talked about the thrift store social post. It was your highest engagement. It was the most engagement, and most of it was positive. So it will be interesting to see if the business owner does see it, get any traction from it, you know, in store foot traffic. And then I think last time there was a request if we could cross-reference the age demo and the geo demo in the Meta platform. And you can't directly do that within Facebook's data. But she did, I'm reading Ashley's notes here. She said, while we can't directly cross-reference audience age data specifically to Trinidad within Facebook's data, we see that the top cities of engagement are Trinidad itself, along with surrounding areas like Pueblo and Colorado Springs. This tells us that a significant portion of the younger demographic growth is likely local and nearby residents. So Facebook isn't going to give us that clear cross-reference data, unfortunately, but we can infer that that's where that growth is coming from. I think that's everything. We're just now kind of trying to get set up to hit the ground running in January. When you get this budget approved, should we set up a time to meet as a group, or do you want to meet during a lodging tax board session to talk about the budget breakdown? How do you imagine those next steps to be?
Yeah, slightly tricky since we're not at full strength here today, but I feel like we can probably do it in a normal meeting.
Okay.
If others feel like we need to make it a work session, we could. But yeah, I mean, I feel like our meetings have been getting a little bit faster. So that would be my inclination.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just have our regular meeting and then adjourn and have a work session. So.
Yeah, I like that.
And I could, if you think it's easier, I could draft a budget once I know the total, and I could draft some strategy so that we come to the meeting with something to work from, or we can just start from ground zero and just, you know, what do you guys want? what do you think? And I let you know what I think will work.
I think having you draft an initial budget would be the way to go. Yep.
Yeah.
Would
Something
you be
to start
opposed
from at minimum.
Would you be opposed to attending in person?
I'd have to talk to Brian about that because it's probably an overnight trip for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can invite him.
He said he was too. So
I have two lovely guests.
He's at a doctor's appointment, but he's listening, so
this
he might be able to attend too.
I think it's important. We can talk this way, but when you're actually in the same room talking, it's so much better, and it's so much easier to read what each other's doing and really accomplish more. So think about that. It's not a do or die, but
I have two lovely guest rooms. You can use one, unless of course it's on a week when we get 40 inches of snow. Then you won't
Oh
want
my
it.
goodness. I can't believe how much snow you guys got. You got more than I did up here.
I'll believe it.
We'll make it happen. We'll either it'll be me or Brian or both of us. We can make that happen in person.
Yeah, I have some questions in general around that and like next steps with renewal and stuff, and that is really between us and the city and making sure that everything's just moving forward, because I think we have board consensus to renew. So that should be the plan, and we can keep working on the budget with all that in mind. But if we don't have final budget approval from the city yet, I don't know when exactly our contract expires, but I just don't want anything to lapse. So
I think it's in December.
Yeah, I think we were in touch with Ashley about the contract,
Okay.
and we're all set for next year.
Oh,
so
okay.
Great.
I think it was set up to auto renew,
Oh.
so we're all set.
Right on.
Yeah. So no worries there. I think the next big step is the budget and making the plan for next year.
Yep.
So, but I'm excited. I'm excited for you to have a new website. That's huge. It's going to be a really great project, and it's going to make a big difference.
Did you say how long it would take to probably get that?
8 months.
I'm expecting 8 months because of the amount of new content that needs to be researched and written.
Wow.
And the photos that need to be taken. So, because we identified, like I said, 75% more assets that are current on the current website that we want to have represented on the new website. So those are individual trails, every point of interest, all the. I don't even know that we have the businesses even listed yet. These are just things that people can see and do, and where they can play. And
Well, I understand that the time, the time constraint on that. I can anticipate some pushback or bitching, as it's actually is, that will, you're going to miss another, tourist season.
Oh yeah, to have it ready for summer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's something to be prepared for. I don't know if you can do it in phases. Think about that, because if we could have it even by the end of spring, something would be better than this.
I don't know that we can launch it in phases, and that was one of the reasons that we did the facelift. We put 10,000 towards a facelift this year, knowing that the new website wouldn't be ready until the fall of 2025.
Oh.
Okay.
So, but I can talk to my team, we can brainstorm some things and see what we can do. I hear you. It's such a big, important project. I'd hate to rush it
Right.
Oh yeah.
and not get the product. So, but I'm not closed to the idea or the discussion. Let's put it that way. So I want to give you guys the best website ever. So that's really where my brain is. So.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Nothing for me.
Nope.
All right. And Veronica, I will send this deck to you so you have it in your inbox.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Okay. No problem. Everybody have a great day.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
too. Thanks.
You too.
Goodbye.
All right. If you guys want a little bit of context on that social media
Yeah.
deal, basically the new gal, she's been coming down
Yeah.
and shooting every few weeks or whatever. So she's been going into local businesses. I think she's been getting some level of direction from Marty potentially on some things, and I'm sure she also has her own ideas on what she wants to shoot and whatever trends she's highlighting or what have you. So the specific incident was that she had gone to Pack Mule Mercantile, which definitely has a very strong vision of what their brand is, and
Who is it?
Pack Mule Mercantile on Main. And so she started basically, I think it was going to be a 3-part series on thrift stores.
Oh.
And so Asher at the Mercantile did not take kindly to being called a thrift store. She said we're not. We're curated. Like we have artists. It's local makers. It's not like all thrift. So that didn't go over very well. And then I think they were kind of slow to have any real response to it. And then they had the second post in the series, and it had her store featured again, and it was still thrift store. So she was like, once again, not a thrift store.
Gotcha.
So likewise, like Owl Den was in that, and I mean, I would not hesitate to call Owl Den a thrift store, but she wasn't as combative about it. But she was kind of like, oh, I see people are kind of learning about like differences between curated stores and thrift stores, and so she, at least, her remarks were much more like, oh, we're all learning here and taking the next step, instead of being like, don't do this, I'm upset about it.
Okay, gotcha.
So bottom line is like, and then a second deal just was with Simpsons Local, which, as you know, is my wife's store. They had like some scheduling deals where
No, I didn't know that.
she was coming, the social gal was coming in basically on the day where they had the least amount of stock, and they asked her like, please come after we get our delivery, and she did not. So what it boils down to is like communication, understanding the business and what they want to be featured, right, instead of just showing up and being like, I'm doing my shoot, like, deal with it.
Right.
So I've not met the social gal yet, don't know what her attitude is personally, so I don't want to speak, like, this is not my words, but it's what I'm hearing from people.
Well, it sounds like one of our biggest problems this last year, and even before, was communication. And I congratulate Marty. I did not realize that she was now the director of tourism. That's kind of weird. No communication, because I'm on the tourism board or the lodging tax advisory board. That's something I thought all that communication was going to be given, your responsibility. If Marty is still part of it, then she needs to communicate with us too. So it's a little tricky for you to get into that, but we've got to do something to improve communication.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of overlaps between a lot of the boards that I am a liaison to. There's definitely a lot of overlaps, and it's really great that Marty and I work so closely together, because before and after every one of our board meetings, we get together to discuss priorities as well as debrief, so that way we're on the same page. So I don't really see that as much of an issue with Marty and communication.
Well, it shouldn't be. It should be able to be, to be tuned in. Lindsay actually made a couple of statements about things that Marty had taken care of that we should have at least been aware of, and that's kind of some of what happened with prior city administration. Yep. And it's a little frustrating. We're on an advisory board. We want to advise, but we also have to be advised as to what's been done in our behalf.
And relatedly, so now that everything's passed with the tax increase, we're free to discuss that. I did serve on a citizens committee that was promoting that.
Yes.
We were recruited by the Nature Conservancy to be involved because of our involvement with the Trails Alliance. So the biggest obstacle to that passing, which obviously didn't shoot it down this go around, was transparency and accountability. And so if we do not have this citizen board involvement, like, that's going to be a major sticking point with all the stakeholders, and especially with the lodgers who are providing the fund. So we just have to make sure that there's a two-way street there from the city, in terms of we're supposed to be, in essence, some level of watchdog, as well as like providing what should be like an expert.
Well, that's the way we were even represented in their promotions,
right,
as a watchdog.
Yeah. So there have to be groups involved in seeing where this money is being spent, or how the decisions are being made if it's going to touch the lodging fund.
So a couple of things. Number one, what you just illustrated about what happened at Simpsons, that they didn't show up on that day and that kind of supports the idea of having people with this idea that Lindsay was talking about, that they have some money in it. Whether they pay $25 or they pay $30 or whatever just to get involved in it, they have a stake in the game. They're going to be there for that time.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, hey, we can't see you today. Can you come back tomorrow? Drive another 100 miles and come back tomorrow.
Well, it was more about what's in the store, not their availability.
Oh, well, I understand that's what
Yeah.
happened for
Whatever
Simpsons,
time
but
it
it
is.
kind of lends itself to people have to have skin in the game in order to commit to having a good story. Secondly, the whole transparency thing. And then we're going to be talking about goals, right? And maybe doing another work session around goals. I think we could talk about issues of how we can be more transparent in that. But I think what's really important is still setting us apart from the tourism board of before. And to me, that was illustrated by when Pat was here last time. And he made a lot of assumptions about what it is that we do. And now that we have the lodging tax increase approved, I think we need to present something, whether it's an article in the Chronicle or whatever, something on social media that says, this is what we do, this is what we're planning on doing with the money, and this is how we work, right? Because I love having the watchdog, the citizen board on that. But unless they understand what it is that we're supposed to do, they're going to think we're still involved in creating events or festivals or all of those kind of things that the board used to do before.
Well,
You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
I do, but I also don't know how necessarily wrong Pat was. I think that there's a gap between what we've been learning and what we've been doing and what needs to be done. And that doesn't necessarily all need to be filled by us as volunteer members of this board.
Oh yeah. Well, the whole oversight committee that's supposed to. What the hell is
But
that?
being hands-on and attentive, like if we are watchdogs, like it is our job to, for example, I would say our most glaring like mess up has been the
website.
visitor's guide.
Yeah.
The website was out of our hands in terms of it like going down and up and all that,
Okay.
but the visitor's guide, has a bunch of outdated stuff in it. And that totally falls on us because we did not do our job reviewing it. So we have to own that. And so that is, Pat coming in and being like, having a plan, being more proactive, getting ahead of that stuff.
And you're
It's
talking
like-
about us being responsible for all the copy and all the.
So like we don't have to sit there and write it, but we were given the copy before it went to print and we failed to review it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I just assumed that,
There were eyes that are paid by the city to look at it.
Yeah.
yeah, but that's our job as oversight. Like we cannot trust the city to do things correctly all the time. And that's why we're here. So yes, at some level we just direct and orchestrate, but we have 5 different people on the board. We don't necessarily all have to be doing everything, but we do need to be
Okay. Well, I agree, but I think that's also part of the discussion around goals and delineating or defining what we do as opposed to what the old board did.
Right.
What are all of our responsibilities?
Mhm.
Make sense?
Well, and deciding what we are responsible for and what the city's responsible for.
Yes.
And because that's never been defined. It's been
assumed. And I just think after the initial put together of this and the cluster that happened after that, we never regrouped and said, okay, well this is what our charter is. This is what we're supposed to. I love that we did when we did the whole work session or retreat where we defined all of our goals, loved that. That was great. But everything behind that and what our responsibilities are, that lends itself to how it is that we're being transparent.
Mhm.
Where might one find those goals?
Yeah, so that
Speaking of
That's a
transparency.
really
Well,
good
so
thing.
it's
We
also in
don't
the
always
shared-
look at that.
it's in the shared drive. So it's all been
And I know
documented.
I'm let's say it's not Veronica, your liaison. Let's say it's Veronica, just a citizen of Trinidad, and I would like to know what this board's goals
Yes.
are. I can't find it on the website.
Absolutely.
And just because I'm currently helping Main Street Board build their website on the city website, so I'm going through all of the boards, little tabs on our website, and I just noticed I can't find those, and so that speaks to the lack of transparency.
Yes, it does.
So I know it lives somewhere, but can it live somewhere more public.
Just agenda-wise here, we're into our new business. The old business, we did have one more item on there, which was scheduling a work session to review our goals.
Well, that's what I was touching on.
However, we are missing 2 people, so I don't really
okay.
think we can get that nailed down today. I mean, we could pencil something in if you guys want to look at your calendars and send that out to Jason and Ashley.
After Thanksgiving?
Okay, Veronica, can you,
We're
since
making
you
it a
can
holiday
actually
party
talk to all of us,
and cookie
an email,
exchange, too.
just get a response from, what's,
Yeah, well, the majority that are here today, can you guys give me a date and time that work for you 3, and then I can send those out?
communicate with the
Mhm.
others.
Yeah, probably looking in the first couple weeks of December there.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, this month is practically gone.
Right, and we're already going to have to reschedule our Thanksgiving Day meeting. So,
Do both.
Yeah, we could do it and then follow it
sure. So we want to look
with
at the
holiday party.
first week of December. I'm actually quite open that week. I just have my normal work stuff.
The 5th?
Yeah, I mean, 5th during our normal window would be fine. We'll probably need extra time. In general, it's better for me to do morning or evenings, but I don't know about Ashley. I think is the toughest other person to schedule.
Well, if we could do a meeting from 4 to 6 and then 6 to 7:30, we talk about goals and have bustle and beer.
Yeah, we could get some refreshments for sure.
So December 5th from 4 to 6 would be the regular meeting, and then from
6 to 7:30. I think that would be sufficient.
can I get one
What time?
other?
6 to 7:30.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of a show.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
starts then.
So I was just going to ask if I can get a more, maybe the same day but a different time? Maybe in the morning, would the morning work?
The 2 o'clock will work. I mean, the same time we've been doing them.
2 to 4 for our regular meeting, and then 4 to till you have to go to the theater.
4 to, and then if I have to leave early, fine. I shouldn't have to leave before 6 on that day.
Okay.
And then...
Can you have a beer?
I don't drink.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right.
I'll smell one.
Gross. Well, I just don't like beer at all. What about what about a different time in case the other 2 can't do that time? Just as an option.
We could do a Wednesday.
Well, they probably can simply because
It's the
they're
normal.
scheduled the Thursdays.
Yeah.
2 Thursdays a month. So
Mm-hmm.
check with it. If not, get back to all of us.
Yeah, I would just rather have yet another option in case.
Yes,
that way
someone else.
I don't have to get back. I can just say, okay, well then does this option
Yeah,
work?
I know.
I mean, the following
We could just.
Monday or Tuesday would be good for me. It's
Well,
the
then we
9th or
do a Monday or Tuesday, followed by another meeting on Thursday in the same week.
Yeah.
10th. I mean, we can also do the 2nd or the 3rd then.
Yeah, because we're going to have to reschedule the 26th.
Monday,
can't-
Tuesdays.
I can't do the 2nd, but I can do the 3rd.
All right, we could shoot.
Wait,
for
I can do
3rd.
the 2nd at 2. I just can't do it in the evening.
Gotcha.
I could do the
You're
3rd.
talking about December 2nd?
How about the 3rd into the evening for you, Chris?
I have Alzheimer's support group. I facilitate that starting at 5:30.
On the 3rd.
Yeah, but I could hope people will forget.
What happened to the 5th?
We're just looking for.
An alternative?
Yeah.
Well,
second
yeah.
date.
If we have to go to the 3rd for an alternative, I'll just come back from Texas. Scheduled 2 days to hit my basically Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving with my kids. So,
So not
but I
the
can
3rd.
come back early. So,
No, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
oh no, it's okay. Trust me.
I could do the 4th.
No Wednesdays for me.
Okay. I can't do Tuesday.
Just tell them they have to do it on the 5th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason they have to do it on the 5th is because we were here and they were not.
Exactly.
And also, like, if they can do 4 to 6, but not 6 to 7:30, we can always just,
Well,
you know,
do
adjust.
2 to
Wait, is it 2? Is it 2 to 4?
We gave a couple of options. We
Okay.
can't do the evening one because Chris is,
Okay, so just for clarity's sake, December 5th, 2 to 4 for sure.
Yes.
Because that's the normal session. And then we can do either, no, and then 4 to 6.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Okay.
So that's a makeup meeting and also discussion of goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise, I almost would say right now we're in a little bit of a holding pattern, like waiting on the budget stuff. I feel like we can get away with canceling a Thanksgiving meeting outright and just having a work session.
I'm happy with
So
that.
that we don't need a 4-hour window then you have two time slots on the same day we can choose from. We'll just call it a work session
I
and
like
talk
that.
about
Yes.
reviewing goals, maybe talk about budget. So we'll just try and stay focused on like planning in that session. Does that sound
Yeah,
good?
sounds good to me.
Okay, cool. All right, so we'll be talking about goals. A lot of our new business, I think, is going to tie into that. So the first item on new business is discussion of methods of transparency. We've already started chatting about that. There's also, we're skipping the Main Street Board line item. There's discussion of LTAB page on the city website. I think that's directly related to the transparency issue.
Yep.
So, we could talk more about that right now if we want to, if anyone has any ideas there. I'm open to fleshing out the LTAB page. We get that request a lot. Pat was here talking about can we get reporting and stuff. I think it's reasonable to publish that stuff online. And it sounds like you can help us put it on there. So.
Yeah, I'm helping. I met with Victoria, our new communications director, and she's really open to helping. She's like, I just need the content and what kind of layout you want, and I'll make it happen.
Cool. That sounds good. So, on kind of a base level there, I'm happy to help format and make these documents look pretty or whatever. They don't need to be super fancy, but.
She can make it look pretty. I just need the content.
Well,
like
yeah,
what you would
I'm almost imagining just, it's basically just links to whether it's a PDF or a PowerPoint or something, but, one would be, here's the 2025 lodging tax board's, goals and aspirations. Here's the 2024 report. And that's kind of like a baseline to build off of. So that all doesn't need to be native web content. It could just be like reports and updates with links that we go in and then add new ones as we go.
And I think it would be beneficial for all of us if it's like, this is who we are and what we do, very clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just catch up on a couple of notes here. The next item of new business.
Discuss restarting monthly work sessions.
Yeah.
And by that, we mean the public meetings or the business stakeholder meetings. Is that what that means?
Yeah.
I'm assuming yes.
I think that can be covered a lot in our discussion of goals.
Yeah, because I think we do need to discuss a little bit more, and then we can start scheduling them after the first of the years.
Yeah, and we can discuss different formats for the different groups that we meet with based on our goals.
Yeah. I'm in favor of getting them going again. I don't know when we were supposed to have would have been a public one, I think, was next on the agenda for just general public. That is the one that I'm least inclined to hold, especially if we're going to launch a website or something, because I just don't see it being productive.
No.
I would rather, if we're going to have face-to-face meetings, let's keep it with stakeholders. I just don't feel like we need random input on the tourism direction. They can throw their hat in the ring to join the board when there are openings if they want to be involved.
And I think putting the transparency, putting copy of minutes and the budget
Yes.
and all that kind of stuff, that covers that.
I would agree with that. And they're certainly welcome to approach us, individually and independently if they want to give their 2 cents. So I would say let's focus on the business stakeholders. We may want to have a specific lodgers meeting with the hoteliers to make sure we're getting their concerns. And maybe we do a city one.
Oh, I like that.
Because there's supposed to be this new committee, right? I think that we should be meeting with them directly.
You know anything
Is
about
there
that?
really going to be another?
I have not heard
I haven't
anything.
heard
I've been
about that.
asking.
Yeah,
I
that
don't think
means
there's
that
been any
nothing's
movement.
been done.
Yeah. So maybe they ditched that.
Which is fine. That was one of the big things that Pat was curious to know. Oh, you know, what is that? Does that
Good
delete
question.
the board?
You
Or?
know either.
Yeah, we don't know either. I mean, I also missed that first meeting that Mike Valentine was at. I still haven't met that guy, actually.
He just
Mike?
walked
Oh,
by.
weren't you at the last meeting here?
Nope.
Oh, he's in that corner.
But the first time he showed up, I remember he was announcing that essentially. It was like,
Yeah.
we're going to be having this committee. But regardless of the status of the committee, we also have, Marty is working on things. And I mean, ultimately, her and Jason need to bury this hatchet. I'm like not thrilled with either of them for creating and perpetuating this conflict because it is handicapping our ability to work with the city.
Yep.
So to me, that blame goes both directions. Jason should not have been blasting Marty on social media, and Marty should have been mature enough to be able to work past that when it comes down to what we're trying to do as a board. But it is what it is at this point. A city meeting, though, if we can get everybody in the same room, especially if there's other people, it's not just like Marty's the liaison. She has to sit there and look at Jason, like if there's other people around. At least we can like discuss and talk about goals, campaigns. If we're gonna have like looking ahead to next summer, like we want to have cohesive ideas.
So would that be covered, I mean, if we were an agenda on the city council meeting and said, well, this is what we're working on now, it kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone, because we have people that the public attends by, virtually or in here, and are we looking for a lot more back and forth from them, and what kind of feedback are we expecting from them? Are we just wanting to keep them up to date on what it is that we're doing, which I think can be covered in a city council meeting? We have a 10-minute segment with PowerPoint slides, or are we wanting, what do you want? What are you willing, what have you been hearing?
I think we need that because people want to be heard, and we're seeing that play out with that social media microcosm.
Okay.
And that's the business stakeholders, but I think that goes with everyone we want to be meeting with. So like if we have the business community at large, even if we could be going to the chamber meetings also, like they could just schedule us. We may not even all need to be there, but representatives from the board can go present, get feedback from the chamber, come back to our board and say the chamber wants to see X, Y, Z. Let's consider it as we're doing our next board.
And I think that those are amazing. I think those are necessary to move forward in a positive direction. And that all needs to be really sussed out clearly when we meet about the goals.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so if we're moving on to the agenda for the next one, it's not only goals, it's about transparency, it's about defining who we are and what we do, and how we're going to be meeting with the city and how we'll be meeting with stakeholders. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Because it would help to know what the city expects of us. I mean, do we know? I mean,
We haven't been back to talk to them since you went in front of them, right? Or was it Jason?
Well, I think there's a big difference between council and the city. Because council is like, we go present, like, we want to spend this money. And that's going to come up too, especially with this extra budget stuff, is like we're going to have ideas for the recreational facilities and programming. That's the big bucket. That's kind of an X factor here. That's also what the public is going to be keyed in on with this increase, because that's what the messaging was for promoting it, was like you're going to get park improvements or whatever. So that's the biggest one to hone in on, I think.
Then who would you want to meet with in the city?
the people who are
Mike
doing the work. So I mean, like
Okay.
Marty is apparently doing
Okay.
tourism stuff.
And Mike Valentine.
So yeah, I mean,
Who's interim.
the folks who are actually executing stuff, who are talking to Lindsay I mean, like Marty is telling the social media manager, get a reel with a pumpkin in it. Like, so if they're at that level of like direction of what our actual advertising programs are, like we have to have dialogue because, I mean, I think you're on the right track, Chris, is like defining those roles and what are we doing. Like, yeah, I don't need to direct every single campaign. But then when we see like, oh, we leave Marty to her own devices and this visitor's guide is like rife with inaccuracies, that's a problem. Like we can't have her out directing social media if like that's the level of work that's happening. So I just think we need to have our voices in that conversation on a regular basis so we can kind of help guide things.
So then clarity on those agenda items for next time would be how it is that we meet with the city and the frequency that we meet with city council to say what it is we're doing.
And who, yeah. Okay, cool, that all sounds good. That is really it for the agenda. We already talked about scheduling the second meeting for November. The consensus is just not to have that meeting. Do we need a motion on that?
I was hoping we'd have it on Thanksgiving so I could eat turkey with somebody. I'll sit at home and watch football, I guess.
Okay. Then I guess we're on to miscellaneous. Does anybody have anything for the board?
I think we talked all of our miscellaneous out here. Mine, anyway.
Yeah, I think I covered everything. I interjected when I wanted to.
I'd say the biggest thing that we didn't talk at all about today that's kind of lingering out there is Winterfest. I mean,
I got the feeling from the last meeting
We're not having
It's not
it.
good.
We're not
It's
having
gonna
it.
happen.
yeah.
because we are not prepared to do it and promote it. It would take a private group or a nonprofit group, somebody to take it on. Chamber's not interested, and the city let us know they weren't interested.
Okay.
So I think it's a no-no.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see somebody pick up. We've got those cool projectors. If nothing, just some kind of a
Yeah.
snowball weekend or something.
And what does that mean for Brett Ferris and Awestruct? Because I think they were already lined up. They were going to be doing it at the same time as Winterfest. So I don't know if they're already scheduled, if there's going to be this light show, or where that hangs. That's a Marty question, I think.
Yeah, if we could ask her questions.
I will ask. And who is this? A light show?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brett Ferris and some other pretty girl was with a company called Awestruct, and they did a light show that corresponded or that was with Winterfest. It was really cool. There's nothing else like it in Colorado.
Did you say pretty girls?
And it was his girlfriend or somebody he worked with.
No, I missed that.
Blonde hair. I can't remember her
Yeah,
name. I met with her a couple of times.
I will. I'll ask, and then I'll put the answer in with the email about the next time we meet.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a relatively easy win. I mean, who runs with it, I don't know, but a projection fest with like a concert and like food trucks or something.
Oh yeah,
where it's
that's easy to put
where it's like a
together,
one
right?
night deal.
Yeah.
We could potentially pull off. So.
Well, I think Winterfest had a lot of potential.
Yeah.
It just came at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Had too many other things, not necessarily event-wise, but just politically and staff-wise and everything.
Yeah. Well, it was the catalyst why Anissa left.
All right. If that's all for miscellaneous, we can take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I do see, well, actually, discussion of next agenda. That would be looking ahead to the December
5th. work
12th.
session. 12th. Oh.
Not the work session, but the
Oh, that's
next
right.
normal
Okay.
meeting.
I don't.
No.
whatever we don't get done on the 5th, I
The
guess.
renewal of the contract with Mr. Works.
Yeah, I mean, budget updates are the big one.
Okay, I'll try and meet with Cheryl before then.
And I did have a question before we go away. We were on an auto renewal with DIQ.
That was probably just a city process thing. Like they were assuming that they just had it on auto renew, so they didn't need to do anything.
Okay. Because we did say, yeah, let's do it again, but
So, budget and then also decision matrix, I keep putting that off. I want to actually say, what if we did it this way? And this is the position you press. Or what I might do is I'll make up a festival and send each of you a link to it. I'll say, who's presenting it, what this is about, this is the festival, and I'll send it out to y'all, and you can give me your scores for it, and let's see how it turns out.
I guess this goes back under Melissa Nance from the board too. I will have a proposal from, for 2025 local radio with Phillips Broadcasting to bring in either one of these meetings to present, then vote on it in January. We have it budgeted. I don't see any need to double it. I'd like to see radio go in some other markets, but that's for future discussions.
Okay.
I was so glad to hear her say, looking at some traditional marketing,
Yeah.
but then she went with in my professional and personal opinion, the worst part of traditional marketing, print. Because if
I can
anything,
see why she'd say it. I can see why that pendulum would swing back. I mean, when people advertise stuff on social media, in order to go change it, just pull it down, change it, put it back up. It's really easy. So you can put bullshit on there all the time.
yeah,
But a print ad takes months. You've got to double check all your copy,
Yeah.
send it in. I think it's,
well,
I understand why it would have maybe more credibility.
I see some incredible ads, tourism ads from the state of Texas up here on television, on some of the different things. I don't know that we have the budget for, big television budget. Texas has got a little bit bigger than we do.
Mhm.
But radio campaigns and things that hit people in the summer, that, hey, take a day trip to Trinidad, blah, blah. Anyway, that's another thing.
For ROI measurement, totally social media. But
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
yes, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.